So I'm sure I'm probably going to get a lot of questions about this thing right here, and I posted about this on my Instagram already, but I think the best way to explain this thing is to get into it and go for a quick little spin. So let's do that right now. Probably the weirdest thing about driving this thing is this. Use a key lock again. I haven't done that since like 2016, 2017. A little bit of a cold start. Thing is heck of a cold start. I think let's go ahead and hit the road. All right, guys, so you guys join me today from my temporary daily driver. So I'm making sure to point out it's temporary because I don't want people to think that this is the Sport Track's replacement, that this is my new car, because it isn't. And I'm curious to see. I'm sure there are probably gonna be people commenting like, oh, he's lying to us, this is totally his. This is not. This actually belongs to my cousin and her husband, who are currently out of state. And I was fortunate enough for them to let me drive it while they're gone. And while the Sport Track is still being assessed, I was expecting to have heard back about it last week, but I never did. So I have no clue what's going on. But hopefully I'll have kind of an update soon. I didn't intend on uploading it all until then, but I think I wanted to make a couple videos on this while I had it. So let's talk about this truck. So this is a mid-2000s facelifted GMC Sierra. It's obviously a V8, as you guys heard when I started it. I have no clue which one it is. I'm pretty sure it's the 5.3. It just feels like it has too much grunt to not be a 5.3. This is, of course, a single cab configuration with a regular or short bed, which is the exact configuration I want if I got a truck, another one to modify after the Sport Track, which to reiterate, if the Sport Track is done, I do not intend to buy a truck, like even one that's similar to this. I do not intend to buy another truck. But so far, I really like this thing, and I feel like if I were to buy another truck, I'd try to find one that is identical to this in almost every way, because this one does have a couple problems. It's probably pretty obvious at this point if you guys are watching the camera. But yeah, the truck currently, as you guys can tell, none of the gauges work at all. It says that it's completely empty on gas, yet I just put a full tank in this thing yesterday, and I drove maybe an hour yesterday. I know there's no way this thing could burn an entire tank of gas in one day, or like 2 hours of driving. But it also doesn't have functioning air conditioning, which is all the windows are open, because I can't seem to get lucky with pickup trucks having air conditioning. This one, the Ram I drove when the transmission went out the last time, and my own Sport Track all don't have functioning air conditioning. So I've had to kind of work a little bit at a time and manage that. But yeah, this poor thing, you know, I say this poor thing like it's been neglected. It really hasn't. It gets driven all the time. You know, mainly those gauges don't work, which is a bit of an annoyance, but I've been able to manage it by using my phone. I have Waze on my phone, and that is what is allowing me to actually know how fast I'm going in this thing. And I'm actually going to the Taco Bell that just opened right by my house because I am hungry and I really want a Taco Bell today. So yeah, I'm gonna put my camera down temporarily. I'll catch up with you guys in a second. All right, lunch is secured. I am now headed back home, and I'm ready to eat. So yeah, this truck is belongs to my cousin and her husband. I'm really excited. Ooh, GTI Mark 6. All right, come on, go ahead. You were here first. Yeah, this truck belongs to my cousin and her husband, who are out of state, like I said. The only problem is, like I said, this thing has gauge cluster doesn't work. AC is very finicky, so I hardly ever know how fast I'm going, and it's hardly ever cold in this thing. I've had to use the windows down quite a lot. So I know the GoPro is really suppressing the audio really bad right now. But yeah, I'd like to be cold, but so far, kind of just basic impressions. I've been driving this thing for a little over a week now, and I like it. I genuinely do. Outside of those two faults, which in the grand scheme of things aren't that major. I mean, I make a big deal about air conditioning, in cars because I'm generally just don't like being hot. I'm a very hot-natured person, unfortunately, so I'm just always hot, and I like to be cold. So, you know, I like to have a functioning AC because I just prefer to be cold if I have the chance. But everything works really well. It has 143,000 miles. I'm actually the one who got it over 143,000 miles. I had like 142.8 or something like that when I first picked it up. The odometer actually does work, which is nice. But it's smooth, it drives well. I do think this is actually drive-by-wire. I could be wrong here. I don't know much about these trucks. I just know they have V8s, they exist, and their engines are very similar to the LS platform, which I do like the LS platform. So that's why, honestly, if I got another truck, I would be looking for a GM-related truck, because Ford's V8s that are prior to the Coyote just aren't really my thing. The 4.6, the 5.4, you know, they're there, they do a good job at what they do, but I want something that if I'm gonna build power out of, I want it to be easy to build power out of. And unfortunately, the 2-valve family engines, and even the 3-valve family engines, aren't the easiest. Now, obviously, if we're talking the 4.6 4-valve with a 5.4 4-valves, a completely different stories. Those are some really easy to make power out of engines. However, the 2-valve stuff, the 3-valve stuff, a little bit more tricky. Doable, yes. Easy, not at all. Whereas the 5.3, the 6.0, and even the 4.8 to an extent are all very easy to build out of engines because of their simplicity and the fact that they're all very similar to the LS family. In fact, I believe the majority of them, you can share parts with the LS engines. It's just, you know, the Vortec engines are all iron block. So I'm gonna pull in here to my house in just a moment. So I'll catch you guys in a second. All right, back home. Short little trip to go get some lunch today. But yeah, that is this GMC Sierra kind of in a nutshell. But yeah, so as far as everything goes, I've really enjoyed it. It's kind of like just my first impressions with it. It's been just a fun little truck to drive around recently. I've had, you know, a good time with it. You know, obviously I'm not pushing it too hard. Those who don't know how I am with cars that aren't mine, I don't push them unless I'm explicitly told to. So in the case of like this, or even the Ram I had for a brief moment a couple years ago, or any vehicle that I drive that isn't in my name, or, you know, I'm driving that's mine, I just don't push it, you know, unless I'm explicitly told to. Like in the case where I've driven Hayden's S2000 and Michael's Speed 3, and I drive them kind of careful, and they're like, all right, push it, and I'm like, okay, and then I do it. But with cars like this, cars like the Equinox, the Mustang, when I did the Mustang review, a lot of people remember and probably were really upset I didn't give it gas in that video. You know, it's just, I like to be respectful to other people's cars, and you know, that's just the rule, you know, be respectful of people's cars, especially if they don't want you flooring it. But yeah, this truck is great. I'm gonna go inside and eat lunch, and I'll talk to you guys a bit more about kind of what's coming up in the future. I've got a couple videos I'm gonna be working on, one of which actually for class, and the other one will be involving this. So I will catch up with you guys on that in a moment. Hey, well, we are back out here with the Sierra for now, and we're gonna give you guys kind of a brief run over of future videos involving the channel and of course this truck. So obviously I think it's gonna be, without being said, there is gonna be a review on this truck in the future. Like I said, it'll be very similar to, say, the 3.7 Mustang review I did, where I didn't exactly, you know, give it a lot of gas. I kind of was more in a POV cruising style. That'll be kind of the same basic idea for this one as well. We're also going to do a full detail on this truck because, as you guys can see, it is rather gross. It's been parked under a tree for several months while my cousin and her husband have been out of state. They are actually in the process of securing a huge accomplishment in the Chick-fil-A company, which you guys know where I'm from. You know, I'm from, you know, I'm from Georgia. I'm from the Atlanta area. So I mean, this is huge for, you know, a lot of reasons for me, and my family. So it's a huge deal. But that's why this is here, is because they are actually out of state, and I'm not going to tell where, but they're out of state, going through the process to actually get their own place, their own store. It's going to be incredible, and I'm so happy for them. They've done, you know, an amazing job in all this the last couple of years, and I think it's only right. They're going to loan me this car while mine is, you know, questionable on whether or not it is going to be safe or not. And the best what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take care of the car and revitalize it the best I can. So, of course, we're going to do a review on this. We're going to give this thing a full head-to-toe detail before we give it back to them once they return, or once I know what's going on with my truck. And, well, like I said, we're not going to be doing anything crazy. We're not going to be modifying this thing as much as I would like to throw a Pro Charger on this thing and slam it. I'm not going to do that because, I mean, why would I spend, $7 grand on a Pro Charger setup? This isn't even my car. And all in all, just kind of enjoy it. Because I always said that if I were going to build another truck, this is the exact spec I would go with. It's not terribly big. I mean, compared to the Sport Track, in terms of length, it probably is a touch longer. And I mean a touch. Because in all reality, this isn't a long truck at all. But in terms of my style of trucks, which has always been the two-door sport trucks, not as much, the big four-door long bed crew cab, mega cab kind of stuff, this is more my style. And I think that I'm going to, obviously enjoy it and see how I feel. Because who knows, maybe if I like this thing enough, maybe I'll consider getting another truck again to replace the Sport Track. Granted, finding one of these, like even one of these body styles, is incredibly hard in this spec with a 5.3 or bigger, because in all honesty, if I'm going to build one for power, I'm going to want at least the 5.3. But all in all, this thing's great. I've had a great time with it so far. I've gotten to drive it to my first day at work, my new job. I've gotten to drive it around, take my girlfriend on dates in it. I mean, I've gotten to do, all the stuff I would have done with the Sport Track otherwise in this thing. And I really enjoy it, to say the least. So yeah, we're gonna do a couple videos with this thing. I wanted to get the Sierra stuff out of the way since we were standing in front of it. But yeah, this is going to be kind of a temporary daily, much like the Ram was, but I am going to do a little bit better than I did with the Ram, because I did make a lot of content with the Ram, and I think that I should have, because I feel like now I've gotten to experience a truck from all three big three now. I've gotten to experience a Ford in my own truck. I've gotten to experience a Dodge or Mopar with my grandfather's Ram that I borrowed, that actually now belongs to my cousin, who I did a video with in Florida a few years ago. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I'll share the link in the cards if you guys want to see one non-car related video from my channel from several years ago. And now I get to experience a GM, which I think is pretty cool. I've wanted to experience a GM truck for a while, and getting to experience this one, I think out of all the trucks I've driven, mine included, in terms of just the overall feel, the overall just, added punch. Like I said, I've not done anything crazy in this thing, yet I still can tell it has a lot more grunt than both the Ram and the Sport Track. So granted, that might be just because it's a lot lighter, and because it's the fact that it's just the LS stuff is kind of superior to the Hemi was at this era. Obviously now it's a bit closer in comparison. If you throw the Hemis against the LSs and the LTs now, it's a lot closer of a comparison than it was in the early 2000s. But I mean, the Hemi was such a very new engine at the time that this was definitely going to have a bit of advantage with the tried and true stuff the LS was running in this era. But yeah, we're gonna do some videos with this truck. Don't you guys worry about that. I'm gonna bring content with this truck while we have it. I was questioning it, which is why I originally didn't intend on uploading at all until the Sport Track was kind of solved. But I did a post on Instagram. It got enough traction. I was like, maybe I should make a video on this. Maybe I should talk about this briefly. And yeah, so we're gonna do a review. We're gonna do a full head-to-toe detail, not only sort of look good for the review, but mainly as a thank you to my cousin and her husband for letting me borrow this thing while mine's, in limbo right now, and whether or not it's gonna be coming back here or not to be driven or be parted out. But also, I'm going to be working on a cool project for the end of April that I kind of tried to make the tradition of doing every year. For those who don't know, April is actually Autism Awareness Month, and for those who don't know, I actually am myself diagnosed with it. I actually have Asperger's syndrome, which is one of the lowest tier autism spectrum disorders out there. I believe it is like the bottom tier of autism right now. I might be wrong on that. It's been a few years since I've seen the diagram of spectrum disorders. Now it's more under the blanket term of autism spectrum disorder. And Asperger's and a lot of other autism spectrum disorders bring a fixation with it, and everyone has this specialty that they're very well ingrained with, that they know really well, that they specialize in. and mine has always been cars. I think that's been kind of obvious. It's the only thing I really talk about. It's the only thing I make videos on outside of gaming, and I think it's only right to do a video reflecting on that. And it's actually going to be for school projects, and I will actually not be filming it on this GoPro, which is kind of wild because I usually film on this now. But it's for a school project, and I think once that project is finished, I'm going to upload it here to YouTube as well. So all that said though, I think this was a fun little introduction to the Sierra. Temporary daily. This will not be staying forever at all. Probably at most a couple more weeks. I do intend on trying to have it back a lot sooner than I did with the Ram. I spent a lot more time with the Ram than I intend to have with this. But nonetheless, it's been a great time with it so far. I'm really excited to, get the opportunity to try out something new. And yeah, hope you guys welcome the Sierra temporarily to the channel. And yeah, see you guys next time. Have a great day, guys.